So hello class. Today we're going to be looking at the anatomy of the heart and also the functions or the physiology of the parts of the heart. So in this diagram, which is on page 18th of your circulatory system booklet, I labeled the red ones to indicate that those parts contain oxygenated blood that contains the good blood, and the blue ones are the ones that contain the deoxygenated blood. Contains a high concentration of carbon dioxide. So we start with the aorta at the top here. Aorta is the biggest and the longest artery, and it carries blood away from the heart. It carries the oxygen-rich blood from the left ventricle of the heart to the body. Then we have the vena cava here. You have the superior and the inferior vena cava. These two are the largest veins of the heart in the body. And the superior vena cava receives the blood from the upper part of the body back into the heart, and the inferior, meaning lower, it receives the blood back to the heart from the lower part of the body. So those are the largest artery and the largest veins of the human body. And then you have the valves. So you have the valves. We have four valves that separate the atria from the ventricles. You have the tricuspid valve right here. And again, the blood that goes through here is a deoxygenated blood on the right side of the heart. It contains the deoxygenated blood, whereas the left side of the heart contains the oxygenated blood. That's why they're labeled in red. So you have the tricuspid valve, and you have here the pulmonary valve. So those are the two valves on the right side of the heart. And the tricuspid valve is one of the two AV valve, or the atrioventricular valve, that controls the backflow. So the blood comes from the right atrium to the left, to the right ventricle. So it's going this way, and it prevents the backflow. On the left side of the heart, you have the mitral valve, and then you have the aortic valve. So they both carry oxygenated blood. And again, the mitral valve controls the blood coming from the left atrium to the left ventricle. So that's one of the two atrioventricular valves. The aortic valve carries the blood from the left ventricle to the aorta, to the outside of the heart. So those are the four valves. And then we have the four chambers of the heart. So essentially the heart is a machine that is made up of two separate pumps, the right pump, the right side, and the left side. And they both carry different types of blood. So on the right side, you have here the right atrium and the right ventricle, and on this side, left atrium and the left ventricle. You notice that, as you know before, when you look at anatomy, you imagine that the picture is kind of like a person looking back at you. So if this is a person looking at you, then the right side of their body is to your left, and the left side of the person looking at you here is to your side, the right side. So that's how we look at anatomy. So that is why this is the right side and this is the left side of the heart. And then you have the part, that the wall that separates the left and the right side of the heart is called the septum, or the intraventricular septum. So it's a very thick wall, so the blood does not mix. So the right side contains the O2 blood, or the carbon dioxide blood, does not mix with the blood that contains the oxygenated blood on the left side of the heart. Um, so, as you recall from the other lesson that we had, in a fetal circulation, in a fetus, in the uterus, the baby or the fetus does not have any use of the lungs, so there's no functional lungs yet until the baby comes out of the uterus. So the pulmonic or the pulmonary circulation, the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary veins are not receiving anything from the lungs at all. So the blood doesn't flow into the lungs. So what happens is there is a hole here that actually allows the blood to be shunted from the right side of the heart into the left side of the heart, because the fetus is getting the oxygen from the mother's placenta. So there is a hole here in a fetus, which automatically should close in a normal birth. So this is the anatomy of the heart.